You know I cheated you, betrayed you like people. Lost my place in life. Where do I
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Downtime, everybody. Once again, kind of a last-minute decision to try to post something. I've done a few of these that I have not posted. Posted a few. I'm going to try to do another one that I am going to post. So, hope everybody's having a great day. February 7th. It's wonderful here. Stupid weather. We've had days of misty, horrible rain. The ground is sopping wet. And then, by the time, no, that was a mess up we're going to live with, but anyway, there'll be some mess ups. That's why I really haven't posted. But the weather now, you'd look around to a blue sky with some clouds in it, dark, some clouds, but we've had a ridiculous out of nowhere storm come through here, knocking all kind of things down in an instant. From sun, it was like the fucking Wizard of Oz, man. From sun to dark ass rain, ridiculous, crazy winds, and then blew everything all over the fucking place and then gone. I live on the Jersey Shore. We have hurricanes. We don't have fucking tornadoes and shit. All stupidly geoengineered and man-made, whether the outskirts of something else or, you know, God knows anymore with the lords of this planet playing God with the weather. Well, people think it's climate change, carbon dioxide, duh, you know. Between that and the coronavirus, God, people just, you know, I happen to notice, wonder what they're going to send our way here. Cruise ship, this off of the, I don't know, the dumb social media feed 5 hours ago. Cruise ship docked in New Jersey, removed passengers for coronavirus evaluation. Goes on to say like 27 people and 24 were let go, but there might be 3. And, you know, people can't see that this is about control, spreading fear, eventual vaccinations, whatever the fuck else these crazy people that want to control the world are doing. I don't know what else to tell you, you know, because to be honest, you know, the division, not just in politics and religion and the school hallways, but, you know, social media and the truth community in and of itself, just constantly arguing over details. Not many people really around anymore, to tell you the truth, either. Very happy to say that Mark Passio's show will be back on Sunday at 3 o'clock, whatonearthishappening.com. Simulcasting on YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook, as long as all goes as planned. He did make the announcement I see on the website, so I've been waiting because I don't want to say anything about it because we've been trying to get back on the air the past few weeks. His show is desperately needed. People need to really start to get to the heart of the issues and stop arguing over the details and nonsense. Some interesting interviews this week. I'm only going to play a few clips. And I play them because most people, you know, David Icke, the reptilian guy. Oh, Max Egan. Oh, he's a shill. He went. Oh, Mark Passio. He's a Satanist. You know, because everybody's so freaking brainwashed and, you know, stuck in their own truth corner that they might not hear ever any of these people that because they immediately their mind goes to But if they catch a clip of something, they might understand that the research to understand the 3D world aspect of everything is all there, but it's just a small piece of it. It's our own behavior that is causing this um, continuance of the building of the 5G smart grid infrastructure, the progression of the wars, the spraying of the sky that people just pretend, duh, that's not happening. I sent out a video. I don't know, I didn't do a live thing, but I did a whatever through the phone on YouTube because the other day I posted it because these guys were so fucking retarded. X's and, U clouds. I mean, it was just, and people are just driving around like, da dee 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 doo, walking down the store. What's up? What's up? So I, of course, have my discussion, as I always do, with people around me when I go from place to place. And then after that, again, that was 2 days ago, we've had the ridiculous, once again, happens all the time. Transylvania, white sky, pure white sky, off fog rain. All of a sudden it went from 20 to 50. It was up to like 70 the other day. I saw that it was snowing in Texas. It went from 80 to 20 and snowing. People think this is global fucking warming, you know what I mean? And man-made climate change from carbon dioxide, the gas of life, and they think that their science and their opinion can be used to shut everybody else up. Well, some of us ain't that stupid, and we're not going to sit here and just shut up about it. We're going to talk in our own way, however the fuck we want to talk about it, while they try to take our free speech. But one of the clips I want to play you, I only have a couple, and then I have a band I want you to hear. Really good. But David Icke's dot connector for this week, today or yesterday. Today's the 7th, so I just caught it today. So I think it came out, late yesterday, his time. Goes into the tyranny beginning over there, and keep an eye on things over there. A lot of things start there, make their way here. Some other things start here, make their way there. Remember, it's all one fucking evil government that is in on this together. You think all this good guys and the bad guys, and Iran's bad, and Russia and China, they're all pretending and acting as if they're opponents in a game that they know the end result, which is global tyranny, global centralization, control of everything, playing God, seeing all, creating all the laws, controlling all the behavior and thoughts through AI. These people are fucking playing God, which is actually what Satanism is, as opposed to all this horned devil fucking demon stuff. You know what I mean? Not that shit doesn't go out of the realm, but let's bring it into our realm so that we can realize that there is something that can be done about it, instead of waiting for the hand to swoop out of the sky to smack the bad guy's ass and save all the people that have been going to church, or some politician to step in there and save the world from the cabal that's been murdering people for freaking, of course, decades and centuries, but right in front of everyone's faces now. People just go, oh, conspiracy, duh. So again, David Icke, beginning his dot connector this week with, I thought, a very profound statement that I've been making lately myself on these broadcasts about him and what he has said over the years, happening all around us.
Well, those that have been reading my books and watching these videos over the years will know that I've been saying that the plan is for a global Orwellian, and then some, beyond Orwellian, global fascist dictatorship. And as we observe the world today, it's happening, and it's happening with a gathering speed. And it's happening because it's not something that's random, just being introduced willy-nilly. It's because it's long been planned, and what we've been experiencing are the stepping stones, what I call the totalitarian tiptoe, towards that end of total global control of the human race.
That he's been talking about for decades, while people are stuck where he's a shill, the guy's research, again, if you haven't read any of his books or or sat through any of his 10-hour or 12-hour presentations, take the time to do it, to connect the dots, to see the big picture, to do the pattern recognition work necessary to realize what's going on all around you. Stop staying stuck in corners of belief and open your mind to understand that the lie is bigger than you can imagine, as their propaganda tells you it needs to be. When you read the social engineers' own writings, I mean, you know, I don't know what else to say when it comes to how in our face all of this is, and people are still talking about politics and Trump and impeachment and I'm in the streets protesting the racist president. They don't talk about 5G, Project for New American Century, wars, the spraying of the sky, the red flag gun laws, the bill he just wrote into law the other day that basically is a TPP between Canada and fucking Mexico, and the centralization of everything and the intertwining of all the trade, and where we can't rely on ourselves. But he's telling you, make America great again, because he's fighting the cabal. He told you so. He calls out, he doesn't shake Nancy Pelosi's hand, and all the people that love their soap operas are yay, and all the people that hate him are like, oh, he's an evil bad daddy. This is what's going on. This is the psychological mindset of people, and this is why it works, because people just refuse to grow up and realize the whole damn thing is ridiculous, planned, owned by the richest people in the world that steer what they're bringing in, and that we hold the power by no longer buying their bullshit and allowing this entire smart grid to be created, and by voting and arguing back and forth over details of nonsense, and start to realize that it's our own choices in life, individually and in the collective, that have brought us to this point. You know, people can't just do this. And then people go, okay, you have to be brainwashed into allowing it to occur or participating in it yourself. But that's the only David Icke clip I'm going to play. I know some people get triggered. David Icke, you know, when they hear facts that he's not religious, he's not Jesus, he's not flat Earth, he's not whatever the hell people have to tell themselves, so that they believe this one thing is happening, instead of realizing it all lies within you. Without transforming yourself and enlightening yourself, and that doesn't mean meditation, and although that's part of it, that's all. It means realizing the truth. Enlightenment is a destructive process. It destroys everything you thought was real. And it strips it down for you to see the lies, which is why most people don't want to do it. They just want to point the finger at the Masons or the Jesuits or the Illuminati or whatever stupid, instead of realizing, no, it's our belief in authority and government and man's law, and we can keep making more laws, and can't see that that's grown to the point where now they want to take your speech. What David Icke goes on to talk about in his Dot Connector today is Britain talking about criminalizing questioning vaccines. Whether your kid was crippled by one or not, you can't say nothing about it, or it'd be a criminal offense. So that's your body that you don't own anymore. But let's keep pretending that the government's legitimate, and the next person, and Tulsi Gabbard and Bloomberg and Trump, bunch of idiots, man. Sorry, that's what everyone is. That's why we're in this mess. People won't take the responsibility themselves to say, you know what, fuck this bullshit. I'm not going to argue, point the finger at the lunatic socialist Democrats with their mommy issues. Realize, you know what, maybe I'm a crazy far-right, fascist with daddy issues, and we don't need government. And let's all meet in the middle here and realize we can all get this done very simply with common sense, but nobody has common sense anymore. I actually posted too, speaking of which, my two clips from speaking at the school board meeting over the past few months about the transgender policy, which introduces little boys and girls in the bathroom together, getting changed, going pee and poop together, same genders, because that's normal, because, it's about hating transgenders if you're not for that. And, the policy, of course, went on to pass. Everybody sat on that board up there. One person you could see actually was listening, but, somebody did change their vote that night, but you could see, because these boards aren't aren't there for you and I, and they're not there for the people. They're there. We will follow the law. Okay, the law says we're coming in. Chop your hand off. The law says we're coming in to take a kid. The law says we're coming in to vaccinate. The law says we're coming in to put the boys and girls together. And people just like, duh, okay, it's rule by law. See, that's the Republican fucking mindset. Rule of law. That's even was Trump's motto. Law. There is no man's law. There is only God's law, natural law, spiritual law, karmic law, which is based in choosing moral behavior. First, you have to understand what that is, because it is objective and it is real. It's not up to you what's right and wrong. It's dependent upon whether or not harm was initiated upon another. In fact, speaking of Mark this week, he not only coming back Sunday, he was on Vinny Eastwood's show this week. Did a great 4-hour interview. I'm sure by the end of that he was, but it was really good. And of course, I did pull just a couple clips. One of them, nobody explains natural law better than Mark. So people that won't listen to Mark because he's angry and he's an ex-Satanist and all that, well, go find the information he's talking about from somewhere else then, from either a Michael Tessarion or an Alan Watts or philosophical studies, by going back and studying, Freudian philosophy or Socrates, or any of the occult teachings, because that's what you're going to have to do. And that's what you need to do even if you do listen to Mark. You need to broaden what he teaches you, because he understands what the occult is, the hidden knowledge that pertains to ourselves, our psychological makeup, the way we work, and how the laws function all around us, not only the physical laws, but most importantly, the behavioral laws, which he refers to as natural law. He's got a documentary coming out as well. But someone asked him the question to just quickly explain natural law on the show, and it was on Vinny's show. It was a couple of days ago. I'll post all these full. Of course, anything I play, I always post a link to it of the full thing. But here's Mark explaining in a few minutes what natural law is. And if it doesn't make complete common sense to you, then you need to start questioning your beliefs, because this is actually the core of all religious beliefs. It's just been externalized to act like someone's going to come and do this for you, instead of realizing that whatever deity or allegorical story or heroic tale you have been told or learned, it's to get you to understand that you need to embody these principles into your own mindset so that you behave morally in the world. Because if you did that, you wouldn't have soldiers bombing countries, spraying the sky. You wouldn't have workers putting up 5G, teachers ignoring truth and just teaching indoctrinated agendas and putting in boys and girls bathrooms together at 4 years old and messing with their minds during the formative stages of life. They have all that science out in the open for everyone to understand, but they don't, because their paycheck is involved. The real God of this world is money, and it is the currency that these lord and masters of this planet use to get everybody to do whatever the hell they want. They better be quiet. They want to lose their job. They could lose their house. They could lose their... Again, I've said it many times. I've had 2 careers, both gone because morally, money's not important. And one of them, yes, was a very immoral job, working as a police officer. But again, in the 90s, would that have been known when we were all just kind of walking around waving to people and answering calls and playing psychologist on domestics and being where I was next to a very busy town, actually dealing with assaults and rapes and things like that, while keeping in mind everyone's rights, that is actually what we were kind of taught back then, believe it or not. Yeah, you had your jerk-offs walking around, but as time went on, and that began to really change, people started to speak out. I was just one of not many who decided I'm out of here. Now, again, having some personal issues that I've explained before, where, personal loss of death in my family, made me weigh the two. But often from tragedy comes a reassessment of life, and reassessing that this is not who I am and who I want to be and what I want to be fighting for the rest of my life. Based and the trauma that came with therein, I was able to leave after 11 years of service. And most people stayed and bitched about it for the next 10, 15 years while they brought in more and more militarization, which again, mine was pre 9/11. I didn't spend a day in the uniform post 9/11. I was already done and out. My official date was October 1st, but my last day on the street was the 6th of September. So, as all of this authoritarianism came in, I only saw the very beginning of it. And that was being told, write these tickets, this is mandatory, that's mandatory. And standing there and going, no, bullshit, whoa, we're not the military. You know what I mean? All of us that did do that, we were all pushed out. Like I said, a couple did go with me. It did happen. I don't know if they want to be mentioned, so I don't. But, a couple did go at the same time with me for the same reasons. But anyway, back to Mark on natural law, the understanding that man does not have the right to make laws, but we have the obligation to choose morally.
Avalon Mustache, natural law, a brief summary, please.
Non-man-made, universal, unchangeable conditions that govern the consequences of the behaviors taken by beings with the capacity for understanding the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
Meaning it does not encompass the animal kingdom or beings with a less complexified brain to be able to actually have the discussion about what is moral and what is immoral and arrive at the correct conclusion about moral behavior versus immoral behavior. And there is a correct conclusion. Moral behaviors are actions which do not initiate harm to other sentient beings, whereas immoral behaviors do initiate harm to other sentient beings. They are murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, coercion, and willfully lying, the true 7 deadly sins, not the false 7 deadly, quote, sins of organized religious dogma. Okay, so that is what natural law is. It's karma. It's the laws of karma that govern the universe, that govern the behavior in the universe. Behavior is governed by law, just like atoms are governed by law, just like planetary bodies are governed by law. Behavior is governed by law. Natural law is universal behavioral law. And it is the unseen spiritual laws. Yes, they are unseen. You cannot physically prove them with the eyes and with senses. You have to prove them with the observable consequences of what happens if you take certain behaviors versus what happens if you take different behaviors. And you can see it in your own life in a microcosm, and you could see it in the macrocosm in the aggregate result of what human beings get as a society through their collective behavior. Okay, so that's what natural law is. It's karmic law. It's God's law, if you want to put it in simple terms. And it all comes down to one thing. Don't take that which does not belong to you. Don't steal. Because every form of immoral behavior that one is capable of conducting is a form of theft. Murder is the theft of life without right. Assault is the theft of well-being without right. Rape is the theft of sexual association without right. Okay. Trespass is the theft of security in one's living domain. Theft of property is taking that which physically does not belong to you. Atoms are governed by law, just like planetary bodies are governed. Rape is the theft of sexual association without right. Okay. Trespass is the theft of security in one's living domain. Theft of property is taking that which physically does not belong to you. Coercion is the theft of free will, and willfully lying is the theft of necessary data for informed decision making. So all of those things, or the 7 things that we can do that wrongs someone else and violates someone else's rights, are all forms of theft in one form or another. So natural law can be boiled down to one simple 2-word commandment: don't steal.
Don't steal. Sorry about the technical glitch there. It got stuck for a second, and then at the end, I forgot where my cursor was in it. But it was comprehensible. You can comprehend what that was. Don't steal. And again, understanding that we do this all the time in our lives. How many people at home believe, I'm against, illegal drugs and people don't hurt, don't initiate harm. You may not agree with it, but they sit in their house, do whatever. You ignore or advocate them having their freedom taken, being assaulted, put it in a cage. There is a result that comes, a consequence that comes from those choices. And the more people that ignore those things, then it becomes an aggregate consequence that we all have to suffer because people are stupid and think they can push their beliefs onto others. Go, yeah, that's right. We can make a law that you can't do A, B, and C because it's unsafe, even though no harm to any ascendant being is initiated by the behavior taken. You think you're God, and you can not only make that law, but you can support that law, depending upon who you are, if you're a lawmaker or a law-abiding citizen, and then ignore the people that are at the other end and have to meet the repercussions of that law because somewhere in the Bible, you know what I mean, you're not allowed to look at boobs on a TV, or you're not allowed to smoke pot, or you know, according to whatever your 70s mindset was from Nixon, whatever it may be. Even now, you know, with speech, you can't say that. It's not. It's hurtful and hateful speech, falling right into the preset here, kitty, trap for weak-minded fools that haven't been raised properly to just ignore things that are upsetting that they don't want to hear and think that they have a right to tell people that they can't say it. They want to make laws on that, and people support that. See, when that occurs, there's an aggregate consequence for that. It's actually called slavery, when we don't respect each other's rights. You know, and that comes again from parenting. That comes from raising our children to be number one, get ahead, or, you know, it starts even earlier than that when the child's in the formative stages of life and are building their environment all around them, which I got into when I spoke on the school board meetings about what putting boys and girls together in a bathroom and creating gender confusion does during the formative years of a child and what it can do, and the possibilities psychologically, because that is how we build our reality. Most people in the world today still live in that reality. 95% of their lives are spent in that subconscious reactive state from what they did not get in their formative years, whether it was attention or confidence building, or if they were abused, or if they were ignored, or if they were stuck in front of the television. School, get an A, don't care what you're learning, get an A, and being indoctrinated. And then, of course, the norms of society all around, you know, don't make waves, don't, you know, get ahead. And as that's continued to go on, and parenting has gotten worse and worse. Of course, not all parents, you know, definitely not myself at all, you know. But nowadays, people hand their kids a phone, you know. I mean, you know what I was doing as a father? I was getting on the ground and playing games. I was reading with my kids. I was taking them outside. I was changing their diaper at 3 a.m. so my wife could sleep. You know, these are creating a stable, safe environment for which the children can grow and learn based on the example that's set around them. And understanding morality and empathy towards others and the effects of our decision-making and, you know, all those things already, that is the environment my children grew up in, which is why they stand out in places they go. Where they're always so this, they're always so that, I'm always told. You know, and that's how all of our kids should be. All of our children have the capacity to be that if they're raised properly, if they're taught not what to think, but how to think, if they're taught who they truly are, if they're taught, you know, empathy for others and that, you know, we all are each other and people are the way they are because they are seeking what they didn't have. You know, again, my daughter being a late teenager, she could see it already in the groups of friends that she's come to know in her high school years as they're coming to an end, you know. Most people try to fit into those crowds. They got to belong. And they'll compromise their morals to belong. And that is learned behavior, you know. So, you know, we can blame government all we want, and they are illegitimate. They are the reason. But it's all of the people that believe in this shit that are keeping it going, that are feeding the impeachment trial. Oh, they didn't impeach him. Oh, my God, I'm going to go to a fucking rally. Meanwhile, nothing has changed from president to president. Every fucking thing they said they're going to do, every fucking thing David Icke has pointed out in front of you in books over decades that they were planning on doing, has just gone on right along with little resistance because the truth community's busy fighting over fucking flat earth and fucking politics and lefty-righty shit and religion. And there's only a small core of people that actually understand the truth. In fact, I thought Max Egan had I was going to play another Mark clip, but I'll save it for later. I thought Max Egan had a really good. He was on Freeman Fly this week, and again, Max Egan, he flipped out. He this, he that. Again, as I mentioned before, maybe I didn't because I wanted to mention it because I wasn't on the meeting of the minds with Lisa and Sarah last night. I was having internet problems with these storms. We'll all believe in these technologies. Yeah, they got this, they got that. But as soon as they use it on somebody, it's, oh, duh, you know what I mean? He said this. Oh, yeah, sure, they did. Can't possibly imagine that, you know what I mean, that's clearly what happened. But it's great to, again, see Max back. He was talking about the truth movement on Freeman's show, and I thought what he said was spot on.
And what you've got as a truth movement is a whole bunch of people locked in their own egos who are arguing over their belief systems and saying anybody who disagrees with me must be the enemy. Right. And they're also conspiratorially minded. If you disagree with them on one single point of what they're making, then suddenly you become the enemy. This should be the freedom movement. The movement that is there to create the freedom needed to discover what the truth actually is. Because at the moment, there is no truth. There's a bunch of people arguing over their beliefs, like I said, and that is not anything that leads to freedom. And freedom is what we need. At the moment, the truth movement is one of the biggest obstacles to creating freedom that the resistance has ever seen, because everyone's too locked into their belief systems and no one's prepared to agree to disagree and admit the fact that they just don't know what the truth is.
And what would you call that, ladies and gentlemen? That is the human ego that will not allow people to admit when they're wrong. And that comes from an interesting term, where you can take back into, oh, wait, religious? Oh, mystery tradition teachings? Oh, this Satan, the opposer, the opposition, the ego run amok that people think is a horned devil waiting to get the bad people. It exists within you, and it manifests by your choices, whether they are moral or immoral, by your behavior, and by what you ignore and what you choose to allow to go on in your name by ignoring it, such as waving a flag for some president that's still not only freaking bombing countries and places like Iran and Syria, but allowing the actual territory that wants to take over there, Israel, bomb literally an open-air concentration camp called Gaza, and get up there and say, we got the New Deal, here it is, agree to do whatever the fuck we say and we'll call it peace, hey! And then when they go, fuck you, they're the terrorists in Gaza, right? What a joke. And people go, duh, yeah, he's fighting the cabal, the deep state, duh. It's a joke. It's our choices, people, because we choose to stay again in our little belief systems because it's uncomfortable outside of there. Oh my God, what's going to happen if I lose my belief system? My all-knowing, if the Democrats get in, we're all doomed, so I got to make sure the Republicans get in. Or if I'm a Democrat, I got to make sure the Republicans get out, those evil fascists, while Democrats support fucking socialism, which is the goddamn same fucking thing. It's all communism and Satanism, but nah, that's way too much reading and understanding and research and common sense that goes into all that. So we're just going to stay where I'm at because I'm really mad at mommy and daddy, and I can take it out on the opposite form of government. If I'm mad at daddy, I can hate the Republicans, and if I'm mad at mommy, I can hate the Democrats. And we can love our party, and we can all go on with our child abandonment issues instead of realizing, you know what, this government's using us to pit us against each other, to cause division and war so that they can rule over us while they build a fucking smart prison all around us. I don't want that for myself or my children. Maybe I should step back and take a look and speak differently and openly and start to teach my children or my coworkers or whatever the fuck, you know. No. They might stand out. And our herd mentality from indoctrination takes precedence over that. And that is why we are in these messes. How many people still walk around saying, thank you for your service to the military. Thank you for my freedom. All these people are over there guarding opiate fields and dropping bombs on innocent people, while the idiot in charge here, the CEO of United States Inc., puppet master here, tells you why they're the bad guy, the evil government. They're not bombing any government buildings. They're not sanctioning and taking food out of any government people's mouths. They're doing it to the damn frickin' people in places like Iran and Syria, Libya, where we let it get torn to shit. We're sending in proxy armies that are provably trained by the CIA and Mossad and places like that. But no. But still all just random shit. And we need more laws, or we need them out, and we need more, socialism and government, take care of me, mommy. Everybody gets free shit. It's just unbelievable to watch and see and try to communicate to people while, you kind of get the glare, like, where they just, and again, I told you, I try to laugh because, you have to have mental breaks when you're actually truly awake, spiritually awakening, not woke, fucking woke, the progressive fucking mentality. You ain't woke. If you're spiritually awakening, because it's an ongoing process that continues, guess what? You don't fucking know everything, and you ain't gonna. I don't give a shit what you've studied about flat Earth and shit, or the globular Earth. I don't really give a shit. How's that? Okay? Before everybody holds their fucking hands between their legs and goes, ooh, that hurt. Ooh. That's the problem. We are a recess yard of third graders. My dad can beat up your dad. This is why we are ruled over, because the elite people that own all the resources that we've just gathered for them over the past decades to own and allowed it to all occur, they're laughing at us. They're not running scared. Oh my God, this has come out and that's come out. They're laughing at us. I was watching Ryan on The Last American Vagabond earlier today. He was live. And if you still fall into the left-right paradigm and you still can't see the propaganda, I highly suggest beginning with Ryan, who breaks down the propaganda for you, and then you can go and research it your damn self. He puts it all right there. My point being that people in the chat, where's this article from? Who's this guy? Where, they can just go to the fucking comments. It's right in there. Everything he's talking about, he gives you a link to and encourages you to research yourself. But you go through the chats, these live chats. That's why I don't turn my shit on or comments or nothing. It's just little baby talk. And there's some smart people in there. I'm not knocking everybody. But those smart people know what I'm talking about. It's nonsense baby stuff in there. Nobody's paying attention to what the guy's actually reporting in his broadcast. And they're all talking about trying to show how fucking smart they are. Nobody really cares about honest to God truth and morality. And that's why we're in this mess. Again, I have one more clip of Max on Freeman Fly's show. I think it's yesterday, a couple days ago, talking about the herd mentality.
Everybody centralizes themselves, and it's been this interesting analogy to society as you watch this, because you see that people aren't gonna just change on their own.
No, well, they're not. That's the unfortunate part about it. And the fact that they do want these centralized situations. They want to go where everybody else is the thing. They want to be part of the crowd. They want to be heard. They want to have value. See, this is something that I've gone back through. If you really look through the psychology of what's been done to children, the fact that children's parents were replaced by television, so they didn't have that natural bond develop between themselves and their parents. And the parents thought they were doing the right thing, but you created a situation where both parents have got to work, so they're away from the children, so that natural bond doesn't develop. And so the children grow up and they're missing that natural bond that should have developed with their parents. So they don't feel that they have any real sense of value in themselves. So they go out and they spend the rest of their lives trying to be heard, trying to be noticed, trying to say, hey, listen, I matter. So it becomes all about getting likes on Facebook and likes on Instagram. They all want to be in the places where everybody else is, so they can put themselves out there and say, hey, look at me, I have value too. You know, that's what it's sort of has been done. It's a psychological thing. And that's why people are attracted to these platforms where everybody else goes. And it's difficult, you know. I mean, people say, well, let's go to alternate platforms and get rid of this centralization. And you do it, go to somewhere like BitChute or Float or something, but nobody comes with you.
Yeah.
You know? And
I've
people
had
say,
a
well,
Vimeo
you got
account forever.
Vimeo. Yeah, they say, well, you've got to take your crowd over to this other platform. Well, screw YouTube. And I say, well, that's all very well, but I don't really want to take my crowd to another platform. I want to wake up the people on YouTube that aren't awake. And if that's where all the people are, well, that's where you need to be. So it's an unfortunate thing, you know.
That's the case too. Yep.
And it is very true. You know, I mean, people want us to. I get it, other platforms, but you need to be in the platform that most people are in, and of course they're trying to shut it down, and they will, and then you just start over. Again, I've told you this is not something I've ever seen myself doing. I want to make this better. I've been playing, experimenting with the camera, and so having it up and trying to go through what I'm doing while I'm on camera. Well, it's just I don't like the flow yet, so I'm doing it this way, where it's just an audio, playing my clips, talking about what I want, and then I kind of just get a generic, slideshow up of pertinent things, not little Mickey Mouse pictures. You know what I mean? Fucking, But point being is just try. And if you saw how I was doing this, you'd laugh at me because my skills are. But this is how I've had to figure it out, and this is how I've been doing it. But the point is, not just doing this because to me, the way we behave in our actual life is the most important. We affect the people that are around us, but we're afraid a lot of times to say things around our friends and family. We don't want to look weird or sound weird. We don't want to lose these bonds because our herd mentality is, needing to belong. And this comes from, again, this lack of being able to be on your own. I've seen this in the kids I worked with when I was a community outreach coordinator. As I've said and explained at that school board meeting that I posted, kids I worked with had very traumatic lives. Many of them were actually sex offenders after having been sexually abused. And when I say kids, they were 21 and under, 22 and under. Most kids I worked with were like 15, 16, 17, 19, after having been through all of this hell. The world wanted to put them on an island and just burn it. They could care less about these kids. That's how we approach, as a human family, problems. Put him in a cell. Oh, he did that. Lock him up. All of these things. Now, of course, not justifying what they did, but looking and understanding if they were being abused during their formative years, where this may have come from, and then having them recognize it, because breaking down all of that needs to be done on an individual level for anyone to wake up to who they truly are. And these values stopped being taught. And they were actually discouraged in the end years that I was there by the newly appointed bosses in their 30s. Whereas I've explained before, the older generation understood this was all about bad parenting and wanted to change and make a difference in these kids' lives. Now it's about business. Just like the police world, business, checklists, money, getting through the day, all of those jobs, people's lives are affected at every moment with every person, every social worker, every cop, and any of you come in contact with, you're affecting their lives. And I actually realized it at the moment, in the now at that point, which is why, again, people that know me, they know the battles I took on, and they know, that job never took, that cult never took over my mind. Mark actually was talking about, the police cult when he was talking with Vinny, and, he's right on so many aspects. And I never got into that mindset because I already had a group of friends that had earned my trust and loyalty because I earned theirs and they earned mine, and we spent years together, actually being good people to each other. And, most people leave that group, that they come up with and join the cult. I never did. And it not only kept me fair, but it kept me conscious of the behavior of people, that I worked with, and who was a jerk off. And again, being a jerk off back then was writing extra tickets. You know what I mean? Nobody was punching people and shit. I did it for 11 years. I didn't see that stuff. I tell you if I did, and I'm not saying it didn't happen in other places or other things when I wasn't around. It didn't. I worked the midnight shift for 8 years, and nobody was looking to hurt anybody, let alone throw punches and stuff. If you had to get them in the handcuffs, you got them in the handcuffs. And many people have been arrested by me who have beaten the hell out of their wives, their children. So yeah, there's a natural law violation there, but that actual authority vested did not lie with me. That's what people need to come to realize. When I'm talking about opening up to yourself, it's not justifying the things you've done. It's going, well, look, I did do all this. However, this was still fucking wrong. We can't sit here and say, well, there's good cops and bad cops, when in the end, they're all doing wrong things on small levels, whether it's beating somebody up on a big level or locking them away or, being dirty cops and doing whatever, to the small level of impeding on freedoms and writing tickets. And the whole job itself is immoral. And, again, most of the cops that I know who are retired now, they see the younger generation of thugs that have come in and they don't like them. Again, that's another fallacy. Cops don't all get along. They do not. Little cliques of them do, and those cliques all fucking hate each other, and they all rat to the daddy upstairs whenever they can, except for that one group that's trying to do the right thing, but they're the ones that are constantly fucked with till they either leave or just shut the hell up and get out early or whatever it is. We as a people should not accept that. I mean, first of all, you don't need to be calling people to come and solve your problems. I mean, how many people call, my boyfriend's out drinking, my girlfriend's out with another guy. I mean, these are the calls that people call the police for, and I'm not joking. Psychological children. They can't manage relationships, can't manage their children because they don't have the mindset, because they're so mind controlled by their own trauma. I saw a meme and I tweeted out often, the truly, how is it worded? The starter drug or the, is trauma, it's not substances, it's trauma. That is what sends people down these roads, undealt with trauma. And, I've had my share of trauma, believe you me. I've spoken about some of it. People need to deal with that, with those inner demons. And they need to understand this knowledge of the occult, because this is what's psychologically being done to keep us in an enslaved mindset. I mean, what is the occult? I mean, people, it's worshiping and the devil and it's symbols. It incorporates shit like that, especially on the dark side. Is occult. The occult is a word that means hidden. That is it. It is a hidden knowledge, as Mark explains, and these natural laws that Mark talks about are hidden from us. You cannot see them. They are in the spiritual, and they affect us individually and as entire societies and as an entire people. And that is what occultism actually hides. It hides the knowledge of self and of the world in which we live, whether it's those laws or truths about what people are doing in this world in your name. And most people, they support this through willful ignorance, lack of wanting to be personally responsible for the information, because once they learn the information, then, conscience starts to weigh on you, and then you got to do something about it. Most people don't have the respect for themselves even to think they can make a difference. And this all comes from their parental abandonment issues that we all have, because we were all indoctrinated, whether by a TV, a school, a working parent. Most people have not had a proper childhood. And that is how they are able to play on us, because they understand how important those formative years. Again, it's a saying by the Jesuits, give me the child till he's 7 and I'll show you the man. Of course, it's all been reworded, I'll make him a Jesuit. Yeah, that's what it means. Point being is those formative years of a child's life are the makeup of how that child sees the world. And then as the next brainwaves begin to kick in and develop, you start to critically interact in the world based on all of that knowledge, which stays there, unless consciously been made aware of. But how many people are aware of what is in their subconscious? Most people not. They're in the Monopoly board all day long. Errands, bills, places to go, things to do, sit down, have a beer, smoke a joint, watch TV, go to bed, get up, do it again. Or some people just sit in the bar all day. I mean, fuck. Bottom line is, it is this lack of self-responsibility, of personal responsibility on the whole. Many of us are self-responsible. I'm not talking about everybody, obviously, but you can see by the governing dynamics of, like Mark just explained in natural law, the result in which we are living in, and we are losing freedom. We are becoming more and more enslaved. Therefore, we must live in the aggregate more in an immoral sense of thinking. And of course, all you got to do is look around and see that we're forcing each other all over the place, on each other, from political beliefs to, 5G to all the things that, government's doing that people are ignoring because they're busy back and forth. And again, why do they hide this knowledge? Because if we understood this, it would level the playing field. We would understand we're being played. We wouldn't go, oh, there's the Freemasons at the Super Bowl, Illuminati. Oh my God, let me make a fucking 2-hour video about it. Who gives a shit? You get to the basics of the fucking knowledge that's being hidden from you, which is, again, what drives you, the history of humanity, psychological history, and how the human brain will divert into different aspects of behavior, from the R complex and the survival skills to the emotional aspects of the right brain to the logical and reasoning aspects of the right brain. They know how to imbalance the brain. They know how to put people in a survival state. They know how to create this dynamic which pits left brain against right brain. They do it through religion. They do it through politics. They do it through football teams. If you're dumb enough to be, my team, one of those fucking people, And again, it's been deliberately hidden to keep that power differential, so we stay stupid slaves, so we don't, God forbid, realize how we're being played. Mark's definition of natural law is really the most simple way of understanding it, and I can read it to you because I actually happen to have it in front of me on a slide that I'll post with this. Natural law, the body of universe, is the body of universal, non-man-made. Okay, you didn't fucking make it. Creator did. Universal, meaning exists everywhere, all the time. Non-man-made, binding and immutable, means there ain't nothing you can do about it. These are the only laws that actually exist in the universe when it comes to behavior. Not man's law, the Creator's laws. Binding and immutable laws which act as the governing dynamics for the consequences of those with the capacity to determine. He has written here the dynamics for the consequences of human behavior. But, again, as he's going on to explain further, that it's for those that have the capacity to decipher the difference between true objective morality. You're not going to get a fish and a goat to sit down and figure out if war is I don't know. To tell you the truth, at this point, they might be smarter than us. They might be like, yeah, war is fucking immoral. But, humans would be like, yeah, we got to get those bastards. September 11th. Duh! The tower fell down in 6 seconds, but it wasn't. It was the Muslims on the planes. Our government wouldn't do that. Duh! It's conspiracy theory. And again, when stuff like that is able to occur and people ignore it, more bad shit happens. And then the wars come, and then more bad shit happens, and then the wars spread, and then that's what's going on here. It's the common sense, natural cause and effect of ignorance. And natural law is extreme common sense. It's what actually conscious means common sense when you break the word down. And it doesn't just mean you understand it. It means you have a definitive understanding of the true objective difference between right and wrong, which Mark again explained in that last clip. Whether or not harm is initiated upon another sentient being. There's only basically 7 things you can break it down to. And as Mark broke it down in the end to 1, murder, rape, assault, theft, trespass, coercion, and willfully lying. All of these things take or steal one's ability to be free. Murder is clearly the taking of one's life without the right to take that life. We're not talking about self-defense. We're talking about just murdering someone, like our government's doing and all kind of people are supporting, and police officers are doing to people who have not caused harm to others, and people are supporting, and gangs are doing all over the neighborhoods. But we glorify that with gangster rap music and ignore all that because that's how the elite want the neighborhoods to be. They're not, none of these people, and how many of those people go out and vote and think that they need governance, to solve it? You can clean up those streets in a day if you wanted to. They don't want to. We tolerate this, and then we blame what the poor area. Oh yeah, it's their fault. We again don't realize we are each other, and when we ignore wrong behavior, it grows and it comes back to us in the whole. That's how this works. They know that. That's why the dark occultists are only concerned with the majority of the collective consciousness, and keeping a handle on that, and keeping it in its narrative and area of knowledge. And as long as it's got that majority, all the rest of us just sit and bitch and piss and moan. It's that barrier that we need to break, which these people exist on these dumb things like YouTube and all around us in the world. And it's going to take us speaking and saying these things to them uncomfortably, unfortunately. But that is what brings about change, is understanding these things I just named are simply the stealing of someone's right to exist. It's your body is your property. You don't have a right to take from my body. You don't have a right to force me to take vaccines under coercion. You don't have a right to lie to me about the science of vaccines so that I then choose it on my own. There's willfully lying. Our government's awash. They may do it through corporations so they can escape a simple mindset of, well, it's not government, it's corporations doing it. They can do whatever they want in a competitive nature, and it's capitalist's fault, and all the nonsense people tell themselves. These are our choices to ignore common sense. And exercising common sense, you're now exercising conscience. And all of a sudden, you begin to choose morally right because you first of all have to know yourself, the fear of death and the fear of the unknown that we are so bombarded with all the time, which is why a dumb coronavirus scare, which is not even anything, a flu is worse, and it's been manufactured, and they tested for it and did a whole psyop 6 weeks prior to, and you could patents on the damn thing. You could show people anything they want, but they'll dump right into that mindset of fear, fear of the unknown. And because, again, the elitists and social engineers that understand this information understand your mindset, the collective mindset. So it's up to us as individuals to take our minds back. It's the only way we're getting out of this. Human beings live in a state of natural law. They become and remain free. A state of order exists. When they live in opposition to it, they become and remain enslaved. And society exists in a state of chaos. Well, who's going to rule over that chaos? I think those that understand these laws that people don't want to. People don't want to understand. They want to leave it up to God, or leave it up to the politician, or leave it up to the next generation, or leave it up to nothing I can do, or, it's time to get out of that mindset. And our jobs, of course, as parents, are to teach our children who they really are. Most people don't know they are eternal. The body is an avatar. Again, in this world that you live in with virtual reality, where you can put on glasses and decode an entire world, just think a minute about what's that telling you about the science of your own eyesight and how it works, how it operates. Now you want to start putting chips in yourself. At some point, you're going to teach your kids and teach yourself, you know what, maybe I should pull these fucking AirPods with no cords out of my ears because I understand electromagnetic frequencies and of umpteenth degree are running back and forth between my freaking brain, and it ain't good for me, But people don't understand a smidgen of the technology that these technocrats have, because they think everything's a movie and a conspiracy. They can't see we've just gone from the old world order of having authority and kingship or whatever, one king, one master, to just the new world order, which has been here for a couple hundred years. Authority vested in a few, and the puppets come and go, but the authority remains in those that run. Now, the corporate countries that people think are governments that are not, but their religious belief in government keeps them enslaved, and that's what keeps all of us enslaved. So, people don't start to understand natural law, start to understand their own power by again shedding the fear of death and the unknown. Just step into it. Have what faith is actually there to do. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the light." Have faith in the truth. Have faith in Jesus, whether you believe he's real, an allegorical story, or the Almighty God himself. Embody the man's words into your own life. Take what he says and comprehend it, and then live that way. Stop waiting for someone to come and save you. He told you how to save us. He told you what we need. He told us all what we need to do. In all of these religious stories, by the way, there is no one religion that's so much better than the other. They all have these moral understandings at their core. They wouldn't work. They just externalize the deity, which then that deity steps in all the books and tells you, by the way, I as God say governments, you got to do what they say, like in the Bible specifically, Romans 13, people buy that shit, had to. God sat down and wrote that shit. Didn't you know that? You didn't know? They don't know anything about the Council of Nicaea, Constantine, shredding the Bible, as instructed by the Flavians, and the dark occult families that were in work back then to break up and stop the rise of true Christianity, which was the understanding of these principles that Jesus taught, because it was a real problem. Spirituality, which is ultimately the understanding of freedom and the right to freedom for all, and the inauthority of man to rule, was a problem for the Roman Empire at the time. So they turned it into their own solar deity religion that they've used for eons, whether it was, Egyptian or Sumerian, all the solar gods. Again, I know I was saying I was done with clips, but I have one more, and I thought it was really interesting. I've spoken before on my Periscopes, which we can no longer get, or I can anyway. I'm not logged. I can't log back into it. They've kind of locked me out of everything. But I've spoke of some of the research on this being a binary solar system, and I never really kind of put that into the context that Mark did on Vinny's show yesterday. And I thought it was, yesterday, a couple days ago. And I thought it was really interesting the way he and again, Mark has an understanding of the dark occult better than most people. He was a part of it and came to realize what it was, and has been exposing it now for over a decade, and well over a decade. And people get afraid. Hey, look at this, because he understands the symbolism, and that symbolism is neutral, and it can be used to, as like the Illuminati triangle with the eye. You see that everywhere because these people are playing God. They think they're God. They're creating the laws. They can see all and hear all with their technology. They can, control people's behavior. They can steer societies. They can control the weather. So they have absconded that symbol for themselves. But it actually had a light meaning, which meant the all-knowing truth, So they see that symbol and I can't, instead of just trying to listen to what the guy fucking talking about. So hopefully, if you've made it this far, it's a really interesting clip on Saturn and the binary solar system.
I'll wrap up on this last question, and then we could just take it from there, because I'm going to have to go in a couple minutes. But Yes, the elitist occult controllers of the world are Saturn worshippers, and many people in a lot of the new scientific endeavors and trying to understand the cosmology of our solar system and the universe are recognizing that we live in sort of an electrical system, and Saturn is probably a failed brown dwarf star. We may have previously lived in a dual star system, a binary system, and Saturn eventually became a brown dwarf. A lot of people speculate in the field of cosmology that that's exactly what Saturn is. It's a failed star. And this could be the black sun that they venerate and quote, worship, because they see themselves as, in the septenary of planets. If you look at the chakra systems, Saturn is the root chakra. It's the disciplinarian. It's the thing that is the most grounding, and it's the lowest form of consciousness that there is. It's root consciousness or base consciousness. And that is what the Satanists / Saturnists follow. Okay. And that is one of the reasons that they have taken the moniker of the Black Sun. This was even in the Nazi regime, the inner core of the inner core. The inner core of the Nazi party was the SS, the Schutzstaffel, the Protection Squadron, etc. But inside that, there was a dark occult organization known as the Black Sun. Just look it up. They had their headquarters at Wewelsburg, headed by Heinrich Himmler. And then if you want to even look further into aspects of the real covert aspects of the Nazi party, you look at their technologist Hans Kammler, who was very deeply entrenched in the Black Sun, as were many of the other high-ranking Nazi officials. So, just check out Die Schwarze Sonne in German. That means the Black Sun. And this is just one octopus tentacle of the real occult network that is really running the world. It's satanic. Saturn is just one element of it. It's just one element that they venerate. They venerate the Owl of Bohemia. They venerate, a lot of the ancient Egyptian mythos like Set. It's always about the dark aspect of knowledge. That's all. You have to look at it as symbolic. It's symbolic of control. It's symbolic of manipulation. It's symbolic of being the masters while you are enslaving others. That's all it has always been a symbol of. So are they solar worshipers? Yes, but they worship the Black Sun, and in many systems of occult orientation, that would be Saturn, the failed brown dwarf star that is, in our solar system. So
again, the binary solar system, again, Mark is discussing from a very researched point of view, where to me, when I had researched that, I didn't place Saturn as that. But if you think about that, first of all, you've seen that Der Schwarze Sun symbol and if you've seen, that dumb shooting in New Zealand coverage, that symbol was on one of the I don't know, I forget exactly where. I think it was a bag of the accused of the Schwarze Sun. Believe me, they're telling you right there. And again, as far as understanding, this has occurred many times, and they're repeating this exact same thing when we go back to pre-Nazi Germany. The symbolism and the understanding of how that was run all connects into the dark occult. And if you take the time to actually listen to a lot of Mark's research and then go and look it up yourself, which is why I'm glad I learned this about Saturn, and I would like to do a little more looking into that as the binary solar system star, But this is how you learn things, and then you look it up for yourself. You don't just say Mark said it, and you start to look it up for yourself and put it with your puzzle. See, you have a puzzle that you're completing that consists of like a zillion pieces, and most people don't even have the edges, let alone have the puzzle pieces enough to see the picture. And then some people, when they see the picture, stop there and they don't fill in the other pieces. So understanding, like Mark said at the end, this is all symbolic of the dark side of knowledge. What is the dark side of knowledge? It's the suppression of knowledge. It's the ignorance of knowledge. It's being used over you because you don't understand that it's being used over you. This is what social engineers do and propagandists do. This is what the media is for, the government's for, schools are for. This whole monopoly board system is that farce that holds it all together. And because we don't see it as a whole, as a society, it continues. That's the dark side of knowledge. It's not, Luke and Darth Vader. They are allegorical stories of both existing within each of us, and our choices that we make determine the world we live in, individually and collectively. Again, break it down to 10 people on an island. If 2 people understand this concept and 8 people believe in government, what's going to happen to the 2 people? And well, multiply those numbers, But if those other 8 people were educated and brought up to understand what the other 2 people already understand, well, now they could work themselves out of it. But people don't want to listen to other people. They want to stick to their beliefs and call it a day and think that we're magically going to be free, and then magically also going to have free energy and this whole cool technological future being attached to every fucking thing, so you don't have to think at all, and fucking Google the big G, the big generative principle God that they want. The AI God tells you what to think. Again, this is their symbolism. The G in Freemasonry actually stands for that generative principle, which if you understand light Freemasonry, you would know that that is what generates your existence, where you come from mentally, and a state of care or a state of ego, or whatever you think about all day long, that becomes what generates your existence. It's an esoteric concept, and it's an occult concept that is taught. But people, that means you're God, and people don't want to drop their beliefs. I encourage people to please just understand, enlightening yourself means you're starting over. You don't know anything. Just start somewhere, pick a topic you like, and realize there's a zillion pieces in this puzzle, but it's a very simple puzzle, because the truth is always simple, and understanding natural law is very common sense. Understanding moral behavior, it's all common sense. We're choosing this. We need to stop believing in this system of slavery that is about to ramp up now with, I'm President Trump, I'm Bloomberg, I'm running, we're running for president, if the Democrats get in, we're screwed, instead of realizing we're screwed, period. And they want us to fight each other. They don't want us coming together and realizing this whole thing is bullshit. So, anyway, I think I've gone on long enough. Like I said, I didn't get on yesterday. I got to get Lisa and Sarah's show posted. It's actually running on my other computer, so hopefully it'll be done and I can get it up shortly, and then I'll have to do that with this as well. But before I go, because it can't be all doom and gloom, my brother showed me this really, really great band. And again, if you know me, I'm into new music, because there ain't no goddamn new music really anymore. That's good. It's all, on the street corner, kill, drugs, whooping the ass, or whatever. And I can't stand it, It's all I hear on the radio. So I'm either playing, the satellite radio in my wife's car, the 80 station, 70 station, or whatever CDs or YouTube songs I play, from my old albums. And a lot of heavy metal music, people consider satanic. Well, let me explain something to everybody. You can learn from the apophatic, which means you can learn from the negative. There could be a song that is, and it's not written about, you have to understand the song. This band I'm talking about, maybe some of you have heard, they're brand new to me, and they exist over a large array of genres. They're not just a thrash band. They play like psychedelic music, rhythm and blues, and they're called King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. But they came out with this album a few months ago, Infest in the Rat's Nest or something. I'm going to post it with this. And my brother came across it and was like, Tommy would love this, you know what I mean? So I ran into him and he played it for me. And I'm going to play you the clip he played me. Just a quick taste of it, and then I'll post it. But this album is about what humanity is doing to itself, and we're laughing while we're all going down, and it's not about the truthers just going, hey, I know I'm free. We as a society are laughing our way out of existence and just pretending like it's not even happening. And there's again, I'm just getting to know this band. I don't have the full album. I'm going through lyrics, but there's an interview with them that does explain some of it. And, in doing so, you have to realize the world you live in. That's why a lot of, some of the older songs by Dio or Iron Maiden or any of the songs that, sound so evil, they're talking about the world you live in. If you don't know the world you live in, how are you going to face it? How are you going to stand up to it? You don't have to intake the concepts and be like, oh, you can have your own fucking brain, hear the negative point of what they're trying to make and how that's bad for society. And again, learn from the apophatic, which means the negative. So I just want to play a little clip of this song before I go. Enjoy it. Oh, and it's live too, by the way.
God is really hot down here under the surface. Antichrist has definitely with a purpose. Remember what I went through.
Two drummers, a million guitarists.
Here I was thinking I'd died. I see 1,000 flies and wings and tails and slides. Nauseous red balloonness near the entrance. Satan points me to the rat's nest.
That double bass, and they're all playing the same thing. It's so good. So good. There's only like a minute left, so I'm going to let it play. Thank you guys. Oh my God. Again, whether you like thrash metal or heavy metal or not, if you don't, then skip it. You know what I mean? Other people, oh, it's satanic. Oh my God. Again, if you listen to they're actually saying and talking about humanity. Really, wow, we do live like that. That isn't right. You know, there's ways to learn from the apophatic. And again, heavy metal is a genre that has been squeezed out on purpose. I didn't get the second hour of Freeman Fly and Max Egan, but on that interview during the first hour that I will post, Freeman brought up the death of metal and wanted to talk to Max about it and how they squeezed it out. And I really wanted to hear that. So, but anyway, it's all that creativity they want gone. Absolutely gone. My buddy's song that I play at the beginning and end of the show, it's a song about someone that is rejecting God's advice and continues to get the consequences of natural law. And when he finally understands and God accepts him back because now he's living in harmony with natural law. And of course, it's done, you know, in a way of talking about, if you listen to the lyrics of the song I play at the beginning and the end of the show, that's what that song's about. My buddy wrote that in like 1995 or something, you know. They don't want that imaginative thought going out, you know. That band that I just played, my brother told me they're pretty underground, but they're pretty popular. They're coming to Philly, from what he told me, in I think May. And oh yes, I will have to be there, you know. Anyway, guys, I think I've gotten all the clips that I wanted to get and discussed everything. I'm trying to look if I have forgotten anything. I don't think so. I really, just like I said, I wanted to get on. I wanted to do a little show today because I missed last night. And don't forget to tune in this Sunday to Mark's return on What on Earth is Happening .com, simulcasting live on YouTube, Vimeo, and Facebook. It's going to be a good show. Mark will be explaining some things. Again, as long as all goes right. And he's announced it on his website. So I'll be there helping to set up and get that on the air to an audience that has missed Mark dearly. And it's going to be glad to have him back, I know. Again, guys, thanks for joining me for another week of Tom Time. Trying to improve the show more and more. Hopefully I can get to a stage where I can have a camera and kind of run through better. But for now, I'm going to continue to put up what I think. And I'm going to put this up. I did this show with the intention of putting it up. So there's some fuck-ups in here, but that's life. So anyway, love you guys. Keep learning. Keep speaking. And we'll see you guys next time on Tom Time. And next time on A Meeting of the Minds with Lisa and Sarah. And don't forget to catch Mark on Sunday at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern on whatonearthishappening.com. See you guys.